Alright, Mr. Miyagi style. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm one more week and I'm off to Cuba. Guess what? Whoa, look at that. Look at that. You guys see it? You guys see it? I just got it today. Sweet. I should open up a merch store. Pretty sure I'll get sued. Anyways. My usual anyways. Couple things. There's a person that you got on and said, oh, you know, I love listening to you, but I'm getting bored of your rants. And hey, you know what? I'm getting bored of my rants as well. I'm gonna give the trollers a bit of a break. You know, I have other things, a million things I can rant about. There's a couple things I want to just cover. It's gonna be a quick one, not gonna be fast. I'm just gonna cover some member requests and what I'm doing and what I'm about to do. You guys gonna love this. First and foremost, Insta360. I've been kind of corresponding with one of the Insta360 reps, and I'm sure they're watching this, and I hope you are. I'm going to put up a list of things that I've approached them about, and I'd like to see these either resolved or changed or added in, that kind of thing. And I'm covering a lot of the things that the members have asked, whether it be a USB 2 microphone mic jack instead of using the actual adapter, meaning that if we can just plug into USB and just have a simple dongle instead of a big piece of equipment to plug in there, it'd be nice to see that, because I think DJI you can actually do that. GoPros you can't. GoPros you still need the adapter, the mic adapter. It just brings down the footprint. So if you're snowmobiling or motor vlogging, you don't have that big piece sticking out of the side. So that's one thing I'm kind of approaching them as well. The other thing was obviously the lens guard. I'm still pushing this lens guard thing. I know it's removable. We've proved that, and there are replaceable lens guards out there. Unfortunately, the lens guard is not the greatest in terms of quality, but I think we'll see more manufactured. This is, don't forget, we're only 30 days into this camera, and there's already been manufactured and manufactures these lens guards. I don't condone the use of this. It's really, if you are in an emergency and you can't get it fixed with Insta360, then yeah, I would use that, because at least you have a usable camera than a non-usable camera, right, without the lens guard. You use at your own risk, like anything else. Any DIY products, whether it's sanctioned or it's not sanctioned, you're still using those things at your own risk. If you put it on wrong, if you don't thread it in right, like I did with my DJI Osmo, I didn't thread it in right, it actually leaked a little bit. Things like that, those are not covered. I'm just going to tell you that right now, and you can go ask GoPro, you can go ask DJI, they will not cover if it's a user error, okay? Same thing with this. I'm going to try and see if we can have, I don't know how well they'll listen to me. I'm really nobody as a content creator on here. I don't have the kind of following like I said before. Hopefully they'll listen, hopefully they're watching this and they'll take this into consideration. I do have some pretty good arguments in terms of having that open as a removable lens guard. You know, Bassman Strikes has posted a video that those lens guard, the replacement, they do leak. So I would not take that underwater if it's one of those knockoff replacements. It's good for impact, anything like that, if you're riding a mountain bike or stuff like that. Anything but water, put it that way. If you're going to use it in the water, especially salt water, I would really strongly suggest getting a dive housing for it. You can buy theirs, which is expensive. It's not cheap. OEM ones are always expensive. There are knockoffs out there right now. They're 18 bucks. 18 bucks is nothing to invest in your protection of your camera, your $500–600 camera. So I would definitely suggest that. That's what I'm using. I don't care if I'm on a beach. It's salt water, salt water, salt water. It doesn't really matter how deep you go or how shallow you are. It will get into the crevices and stuff like that, and it will over time corrode. In Ace Pro's manual, please read their manual, because in their manual it does tell you what to do after you have it exposed in salt water. Okay, you're supposed to do this with any camera anyways, but at least they tell you what to do afterwards. If you're at a beach in tropical area, if you're saltwater, freshwater is not too bad. In Canada here, we're mostly freshwater, but I dive a lot in tropical, so I dive a lot in the south, so I'm always exposed to salt. So with saltwater, after every dive, what you're supposed to do with any electronics, anything that has metal or even stainless steel components, you are supposed to, in your hotel room or whatever, fill your sink up with fresh water and put your gear that you had in the salt water in that. Basically, you're making a soup for your devices. Let it sit there. Let it sit in there for a couple hours, because what that does is that flushes out all the salt. And I would do it 2 or 3 times, because when you flush out the salt's still in the water, right? So every time you do it, there's less and less salt in that fresh water as you're cleaning out your camera equipment. Always do that. But even then, I do it all the time. But even then, there's some parts that are so tight that just merely having it in a little sink doesn't do anything, because what happens when you go deep, water pressure pushes that water deep inside into crevices, even tight areas, tight seals. And having it in a shallow bath doesn't pull that out. I'll give you an example. GoPro thumb screws, because the screws are so tight in, it doesn't get the salt water. Even if I leave it in the water for hours and I take it out, by the time I get home, it's already starting to corrode in those thumb screws. Okay, so that just tells you that the baths don't always work. And with a camera like that, when salt water is underneath that lens guard, and it's not getting into the lens because it's still sealed, but there's stainless steel parts exposed under that lens guard. If that salt water stays stagnant in there for days and days and days and it doesn't get flushed out, it will build up and there will be salt deposits, and it will probably corrode that stainless steel. Stainless steel will still corrode. Don't. It's a myth that it won't corrode or rust. It will still corrode over time if salt water is exposed to it. Just so you know. Anyways, like that. Cool. That's one. The other thing I'm looking at is HDR. I hear through the grapevine that we may see HDR in different modes in the next firmware. Cross fingers. Please, please, please. I'm actually pushing for higher frame rates, asking for higher frame rates in 8K. Okay, 8K is phenomenal. 24 frames is not the greatest. I would love to see a 30 or a 60 at least in 8K, because that's going to set a new standard for that camera. If that thing can shoot effectively in 30 or 60K and 8K, it's going to kill everybody in the market. Okay, just that, because the 8K, as we know now, it's usable. It's just a little bit, it's 24 frames, right? But look at the clarity. The clarity is there. We just need the frame rate to back that up. So hopefully we'll see that. The other thing is just a couple settings. The preset setting, I think a lot of people are having problems with it, the presets. If you set a mode, it goes back to the default when you shut your camera off or you switch modes. So I'm working on that as well. I'm talking to them. I think it's a glitch. There's a way around it. I've told a few people. If you have a certain setting that you like and you're getting pissed off because when you turn your camera off and turn it on or switch modes, it goes back to the default setting. So for me, I shoot PureVideo. One of the biggest things I don't like, and I understand why, is the PureVideo mode with the low light stabilizer. It's always defaulted off. You have to actually go manually turn it on. When you turn your camera off or you switch modes, it goes off again. It defaults off. I understand that. The reasoning behind that, and I actually confirmed this with one of the Insta360 guys. The reason, and I understand why, and you can see in history with DJI is the same, GoPro is the same, DJI especially, because they have their rock steady, they have their steady, and they have their regular mode, and they have their disabled stabilization. Now, DJI said that if you use rock steady mode, it actually uses more CPU power, therefore it gets hotter, and you'll actually burn more battery life. Using that logic, I can understand why the PureVideo mode, they're shutting off the lens stability by default. Because if you don't shut it off and it stays on and you're not shooting in PureVideo mode, that's secondary. It's a secondary stabilizer. Okay, so this camera is neat. It has 2 stabilizers. So it has your standard stabilizer for your video mode, like the standard or the high, and then it has a low light stabilization mode, which is interesting. So the logic is, think about this. The rep told me that if you turn on your camera and you're not shooting PureVideo mode, you always have your stabilization, your standard stabilization on, and you can switch that, and that's always going to remain the same. Okay, so you have stabilization already. So picture having the low light stabilization also activated. Now you have 2 stabilizations running. Okay, so in turn, what that happens is when you use stabilization, it causes 2 issues. It causes degrading quality, because all stabilizers, you know that, and don't tell me different. Stabilizers degrade quality because of the way it shifts the motion, and it also uses a lot of CPU power. And if you're using a lot of CPU power, what happens? You're burning battery. Okay, so having 2 stabilizers on without knowing will cause, first of all, quality degradation in your video. Second, battery drain. Okay, if you don't believe me, test it out. Run PureVideo or even regular. You can actually activate low light in in non-pure video mode. So if you run, and I did the test, there is actually an interesting difference. I didn't see too much quality difference just because of the quad bear processor. It's doing its job, and the AI chip as well. Now I did notice a battery life difference. So when I put on 4K standard stabilization, 30 frames per second, HDR on, without the stabilizer, low light stabilizer, and I shot the video, and I tested out same mode, but I activated the low light stabilization. There is a slight difference in battery use. It actually drains more if you use that secondary stabilizer. So I can understand that. I know some of you are annoyed, and I'm actually annoyed too. So what I did was a workaround that. The workaround is to, you know, the quick settings, the quick launch button on the side. It's the same as the DJI. DJI has that quick launch, which I really love about the DJI. You can actually program, that was the other thing too, the custom names. I would like them to let us, come on, it's text, guys. It's just putting a name on a custom preset. GoPro didn't have it either. I think their last firmware just activated renaming of custom presets. And I'm hoping, I think Ace Pro will eventually do it and once you see others doing it, right? To be able to rename that would be great, because I have one mode that I shoot always the same, which is 4K 30 HDR. For some weird reason, this camera always defaults to 4K 60 frames. My camera anyways, I don't know about yours. So I've got my first C1 as 4K 30 HDR with standard stabilization, low light stabilization off. And my second is always going to be the PureVideo with the low light stabilization on. And it retains it if you use it as a custom. So all I do is I just have to hit the side key twice, and it goes into my PureVideo with that low light. It's better than going to PureVideo, swiping, selecting, turn it on, swiping off. You're cutting a lot of steps. So that's a shortcut, a kind of a band-aid solution to getting that mode that you want, that you use always quickly. Okay, there's that. So hopefully that's useful for you guys. I'm gonna try and make my videos a little bit more informative and maybe some tips and stuff, that kind of thing, and some neat stuff that I'm doing. That said, there was a couple other things I'm addressing your concerns with the rep, and I'll put the list up. I probably won't cover it. I don't want to make this video too long. I'll put the list of the things I've actually kind of addressed with this, and I hope through Insta360, I know they're watching these videos, and I'm hoping that they will watch it and take that in consideration. If you guys, Insta360, if you guys have any questions or concerns about these things I would like to see changed or added, please let me know, and I'll give you a full explanation of why we should see these things. The 10-bit, interesting news about the 10-bit. So at first they said it's not capable on this camera. Now I'm hearing that, well, we're not really thinking about it right now. So this tells me one of two things. That they're thinking about it, and it's possible on this camera. It's not a hardware issue. Now I'm saying, well, some people are saying, well, it's a hardware thing. Yeah, maybe, but don't forget that this hardware is more advanced than the DJI 3, which they actually brought 10-bit later on. And the DJI 3 is an inferior camera to the 4 and the Ace Pro by a long shot. So I disbelieve that it's a hardware thing. I think this hardware is capable of doing that. I'm not sure why they didn't open it. I think their philosophy, Insta360 philosophy, is always to, and in all their cameras, I have one other of the cameras, is to make it easy to be able to turn it on, record, bring that video down, and share it with the least amount of work and the best results from the camera. I think that's their philosophy, and that's what they're kind of standing behind. And I understand that completely, and that's great because it does cover a majority of that market, which is important. But my argument to Insta360 is, why not cover, it doesn't hurt for you to open those up, and why not cover that other part of that market? You know, for a lot of people, the lens guard and the 10-bit was a deal breaker. So you've lost that audience right off the bat by those decisions, right? We can't make everybody happy, but we can open up options to people that, hey, you know what? This camera is really good. It has all these options that I want. So now I have a better understanding of the choices I'm going to make, whether I'm going with DJI, GoPro, or the Ace Pro. Okay, so to give people those options is the best way to sell a camera, because we're in the era now that we shouldn't be targeting a niche market. Yeah, it's important to have a niche market, but we should also have a wider variety of audience, right? Yeah, your main target is your camera is great for that market, that let's say 80% of that market, for the ease of use and not having to muck around with post editing that. But why not take that 20% of that customer base as well and giving those features, because those features don't affect the 80%, right? But it does affect the 20%. So why not have 100%? You know what I mean? Or 95% or whatever, right? So that's my mentality anyways. So I'm talking to them about the 10-bit, the lens guard, the features, the glitches, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if they'll listen to me. Hey, like I said, I'm a nobody, right? But they are talking, so that's a good sign. 8K shooting. There was a member who was having a tough time with processing or post-processing 8K. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not your fault. It's not the camera's fault. We're early into 8K, guys. Very early. It's the same scenario that we have with 4K. Remember when we went from 1080p to 4K? It was a huge kerfuffle. Oh, my computer doesn't run 4K, or my TV doesn't play 4K. Look at it now. It's a standard, right? So we're gonna see that with 8K as well. They already come up with 10K. It's like, it's crazy. It's just the way our technology is advancing so fast that we've seen all these advancements, but we'll eventually catch up to those protocols, right? The 8K is there, the clarity is there. Now to post-process, there's a couple things you need to know. Like I just literally bought, because of this camera, I just literally bought an Asus ROG computer because I want to do more editing with 8K and I want to do more editing with the 4K higher resolution and stuff like that. So I'm finding I'm doing more video editing because I'm able to use a lot of this footage right out of the camera. So I want to do stitching and social media stuff. So. And my computer was old. It just didn't, it was chugging even at 4K at 30 frames. So I ended up investing in a new computer. And this is an Asus ROG with a Tizen 5 processor in there. 16 gig of RAM. It's insane. It's a gaming computer, right? It's got a GeForce NVIDIA video card on there. It's not the greatest video card, but it's a decent card. And I'm telling you, man, 8K still chugs on this thing. You gotta have some serious studio equipment to run 8K or to process 8K or to post edit 8K. I did find an interesting trick though, because I can't even play 8K video on my computer. I can get the sound, but there's no video. I'm using VLC, which is like the best video player out there to play 8K video, right? And it doesn't even play it, which is really weird. The funny thing is I can play 8K on my phone. I have a Pixel 7 phone and it plays 8K just fine. But I can't do it on my computer, so I'm not sure what's going on. And it's only shooting at 24 frames, right? So I kind of found a workaround, and hopefully this will help you guys as well. So software, like video editing software, like Power Director, DaVinci, will actually play the 8K within their interface, which is really neat. Power Director is okay, it's a little choppy. DaVinci plays 8K beautiful, like it's smooth. I can't play 8K with a player, but when I load up DaVinci and I drag it into DaVinci, it'll play smoothly. Like it's crazy. So they must use their own decoding engine within the app, right? And I can do all my editing and color grading and stuff like that. That's great, because as long as it works in DaVinci, for me, 8K is perfect. Now the problem with that is when you export and upload to social media. I think YouTube's just starting to do 8K processing. I can't even imagine how long it's going to take. It takes forever for YouTube to process 4K. 8K would be just... You know what? Honestly, do we need 8K right now? No. I'm going to be honest with you. Will we have 8K as a standard in the future? Yeah, absolutely. That's just going with the times, right? And it does look a lot better. If you took the 8K and you put it up against even the GoPro 5.7K, it looks smashing compared to the GoPro. Unfortunately, it's not the frame rate that I would like it to see it. I would like to see it at least 30, if not 60. You know what I mean? But hopefully we'll see that change in the future. But yeah, the trick is, if you're looking for a even a view, I have to load up DaVinci to view my 8K video. That's hilarious. I can't use I've even downloaded 8K, 5K viewers for the computer. It won't play it, or it's very choppy. But if I load it up on DaVinci, it's nice and smooth. So I wish DaVinci had their own player that uses the same decoding for 8K. That'd be kind of cool. Then I'll have to load up DaVinci and then drag it in and watch it that way, right? So that's a trick. Now DaVinci is, you can get a free version of DaVinci. I would advise, if you're doing 8K video, I would advise downloading that. I bought my DaVinci, so it wasn't expensive, it wasn't cheap. Oh, do I look better now? I forgot to turn on my ring light. Yeah. So if you use a DaVinci, try with the free version and see if it works for you guys, because I know it works for me. No player will play my 8K video, but DaVinci plays it just fine. So let me know how it goes. Just drop me a line and see if you had any luck with DaVinci playing your 8K videos, or even do a testing. So I've got the cage on my my Ace Pro, and you guys are gonna love. I have the DJI Mini 3 drone. I love drones, and you want to talk about good camera? Like, this thing is incredible. Like, you should see the footage that comes out of those things, like aerial footage. It's beautiful. I suspect this is the same camera they use for the Pocket 3 with a little bit of improvements, right? It looks like the same camera. It's even designed like it looks identical to the Pocket 3 camera. So basically they took this and put a handle on it, and added a couple features to it. But yeah, it's a great footage. So I ordered this little bracket that straps, it's like a little belt that straps onto my my Mini 3 Pro, and it allows me to put, it has a camera mount and a GoPro mount. So I don't know if I want to put my Ace Pro on. I don't see any advantage of putting the Ace Pro on, except for night shooting. I might do that. I wouldn't fly it far away. So I've seen videos of people putting cameras, action cameras on these things, and this thing will take off with it. It's strong enough to actually fly up. I don't think it can fly too far because it gives you a payload warning, and once it gives you a payload warning, it restricts your distance in terms of where you can fly the drone. But so wait for that thing to come up. I'm thinking about doing a, maybe like the top mount is okay, but I'm thinking about doing a bottom, like having the camera like this at the bottom. And then I'm gonna print and design a takeoff pad that when you put it on, it fits with the camera at the bottom, so it takes off from that pad. When it lands, I'm just gonna use my hand for the landing and just grab onto the camera, so it's not a big deal. I want to try a couple things. So I have the RS1, the 360 lens on it. So this is the guy right here. So you'll see it's got the 360 lens, both sides. And I also have the Ace Pro for the night shooting. So once I get that bracket, hope I don't break any of my cameras. Woo! I'm going to do a 360 in aerial. So I'm going to drop it either on top of the drone or at the bottom. I'm going to fly it up. I'm not going to fly far. I'm not going to fly away from me. I'm just going to go in my backyard, fly up top, and just do a 360 footage. Somebody already did it. It looks awesome. So I want to try that. And the night footage. I'm just going to fly a drone up and probably close by and just do some aerial night footage with the Ace Pro. Like even the DJI Mini 3 Pros, like the night on this is actually really quite good. It's quite clear. The clarity is there, but the exposure is not. I think you have to play around with the white balance a bit. So that's where the Ace Pro comes in. It has the better exposure and the clarity, so I want to shoot it and just fly around the neighborhood and just get some nice shots in the air. So that's what I'm trying. This is my super duper controller. So cool. That's it. I'm gonna cut it short. This is actually a short video. I just want to show you guys my new t-shirt. Mr.Miyagi style. Anyways, guys, hope I didn't bore you long enough. I just wanted to make this a little bit more informative in what I'm doing. If there's anything, let me know. Any questions, drop me a line. I think that's it. Ciao. Peace. Respect.